Josh, right on.
Coming to you alive through the power of the interwebs. Inside the Green Room studio from the flagship source of the Earth Mix Garden Products Network, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, bringing you all the wisdom and wit you'll ever need to tackle your garden and your projects. Now broadcasting alive from Bates Nursery and Garden Center at 3810 Whites Creek Pike, just 1 mile north of exit 19 off Briley Parkway, or 0.9 miles as the Josh drives. Here's Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh yeah, everybody knows what that music means. It's now time to climb a tree. Be very careful because they're slippery this morning. Now look around the yard, find a project, lay it in the unmarked grave of history. Welcome in, everybody. It is your Saturday morning tradition. It is the At Home Show. My name is Josh Cary.
And my name is David Bates.
And we're here for you, ladies and gentlemen. And I tell you what, it's going to be a great show because the sun is out. The thawing begins.
Well,
we'll be able to go outside.
The thawing will begin, but it hasn't begun yet. Let's take a stab at that weather. What do you say today? Of course, it's Saturday, and as you may recall from last week, we talked about that. There could be a couple of question marks.
Yeah.
This entire week has proven to be a question mark. It was the week that never happened, as it were. We've been shut down the entire week, as I have a lot of places. Today, of course, is Saturday. It will be partly cloudy today. We do have some pretty good sunshine going on right now, and a high of 38 degrees. Overnight low will be 21. Tomorrow is when the big change starts to occur. 53 degrees. We'll actually be able to get all of this frozen stuff, start getting it out of the way. 40 degrees for the overnight low. Monday, 47, 32 for the low with some showers. 57, 36 Tuesday. 61, 39. Love that on Wednesday. And then we got some partly cloudy conditions on Thursday. 52, 29. 47, 36 on Friday. So, next week, to say the very least, is a decided improvement. However, it's currently 11 degrees here at Bates Nursery. So it's one of those things that you got to...
this is like the hangover from this past week. That 11 degree mark we're at today, it's the hangover from all the stuff earlier in the week.
Yes, it's been a bit of that kind of feel for me. Unfortunately, we had one of my large structures, our what we call our bulk materials building, collapsed under the weight of ice and snow. That's no good. It's a 200-foot long building. It's 45 feet wide, and yes,
it wasn't the new one back here, was it?
No. It was a 47-year-old structure that we had. It's just like this one that's right behind. It's the one on the other side of it, except that one no longer matches because it's collapsed down into the internal structure. So it didn't go to the ground, fortunately, but
no one was hurt.
No one was hurt. And I've got overhead doors guys coming tomorrow who are going to physically remove the door panel so that we can get the machinery and the things that are inside of it out. They did not get crushed or anything, so we're very fortunate there. But it is it's one of those things you deal with. So there's been a number of inconveniences. That's just one of them. So we're looking forward to getting, and we will not be open today at Bates Nursery. We have, as I said, we've been closed all week. We're going to give this ice a couple more days here to get on out of here. So Monday morning at 9 a.m. we will be open. Invite you to come out and see us, and we'll try to return to whatever normal is at that point in time. So appreciate everyone tuning in this morning and being a part of the At Home Show. And I know, Josh, we've got a guest coming up here in just a bit. We did have several calls out there. And so you want to go ahead and give us whatever you got first?
Sure. Let's see. Okay, this first one, I don't know who it's from. They didn't give me their name, but it says, "Hi, I'm interested in some of the Japanese maples you carry. I'm in Paducah, Kentucky. So we'd be driving a couple hours to get get to your place. Is this a good time of year for me to transport trees in my truck since they will be dormant? Is your selection of plants pretty good now, or would I be better off waiting a few weeks?
You're correct in your assumption. Is this a great time as far as the transportation part goes? Absolutely. Since they don't have foliage on them, there's no chance of wind burn on the leaves or anything else. So it's a great time for that. Our selection actually for Japanese maples is quite good. If you can give us until about the end of the day on Monday,
right?
We're going to need, we've got everything either moved in or laying down and covered up. So by Monday, we'll have those things at the end of the day. We'll have all of that standing back up again and out in the open where it could be viewed and checked out. So we do have a really excellent selection. If you go to our website, batesnursery.com, and go up to the little magnifying glass in the top right corner, that's your search box. Just type in Japanese maple and you'll see, or you can go to trees and go to the subcategory in the header bar across the top of the web page. And if you see right up here, there's trees, and go down to where it says Japanese maple trees. You just click on that, and then all of the maples we have, and then they're broken down further into other subcategories. So check all that
David,
out there.
Would it be fair to say that when the customer is looking at the website and you're looking at the images there with the foliage,
right,
be prepared. You're not going to see that same image. So, I mean, you're going to have a little bit of imagination.
Well, when you come out, obviously, there's no fall color on Japanese maples right now because this is winter. And the fall color looks like bare stems at this time of year. So just be, as you're saying, be apprised of that fact, and make sure that you're going to be looking at dormant things, which is really great when it comes to hauling them, particularly the distance between Nashville and Paducah. So we do have a lot of folks who are gracious enough to make the drive from Paducah, and looks like the roads have improved a lot. So we look forward to seeing you out the first of the week. Was there some part of that question I missed, Michael? Did I get it all?
They wanted to know if your selection of plants was pretty good right now.
We have, of Japanese maples, we have a great selection of them now. It doesn't mean we won't have more coming in the springtime, but we probably have Tyler, do we determine it's close to 100 different types of Japanese maple right now? So
the last I counted, and that was when we were heading into winter, was 98.
So
different varieties.
So we got a lot to choose from right now. There will be more a little later on, but so we really work hard at having a year-round selection. So it's a great time. If you got an idea, search out everything on our website that is accurate and up to minute. It tells you not only how many we have, but also what the price of them are. So check that out over at batesnursery.com. We appreciate your question. And was there another one we had there?
Sure was. This one was from Alice Jennings. She says, I need a recommendation for a deer-resistant shrub and or evergreen that grows approximately 6 to 8 feet tall. I want to plant a long row of them across our property line. It will get sun all day. There is another area that I'm looking to plant as well. Same recommendation as before, except this area only gets a little south sun and mainly west sun.
All right, well, deer issues are one of the things that are problematic for a lot of folks, and they will really chew them up. As a general rule, conifers are a lot more deer resistant than are other plants. And if you're using a conifer, of course, as a plant that generally has needles on it, or it appears to be needles. Now, sometimes those needles don't look quite like needles in the case of arborvitae, and sometimes people refer to those as a western cypress, but an arborvitae has kind of like pressed looking foliage. But the long and short of it is that they stay green year round. They don't have actual leaves on them like a holly would have. So
it's kind of like the one on the behind you right there.
Yeah, here's one here in front of me, an arborvitae right here as well. So they do grow really well in full sun, and I'm not going to say that the deer won't ever chew on those, but they're pretty resistant to them. Deer will, if it gets to be a lean time, kind of like what we're looking at right now, and they have nothing else to choose from, they'll eat almost anything. So
that particular variety that's right in front of you, that's the one that turns brown in the winter or has the golden hue to it.
Right, that's
in the winter.
Ember
It's
Waves.
striking in person, by the way.
Ember Waves is what, and that is actually a green giant arborvitae cultivar. And green giant is the one, of course, that gets quite large. It can get to be up to 60 feet in height. Now, most of the time, you don't see them more than about 30, but they can get to be quite large. They can be 20 feet across at the base. So
her hedge that she's trying to build, she may not have to buy as many in particular ones to have it, because as I heard her the question, it was 6 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah, now 6 to 8 feet tall is more down on the range of an emerald arborvitae. Even those will get above that. They'll get up to about 10 to 11 feet tall. So the difficulty is if you're growing a hedge, you're obviously going to try to grow an upright plant.
Right.
But you want something that's going to get large enough, quick enough. You could use something like a Hicks U, which is another deer-resistant plant. However, they're kind of slow growing. They wouldn't get more than 6 to 8 feet in height ever, but it may take them many, many years to ever get to that point. So some of it is a base balance between how patient you can be, or how accepting you can be of it getting a little larger than what you want. You wouldn't want to put a green giant arborvitae in that spot, but an emerald that only gets a few feet taller might be perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
So might consider that.
I was gonna say the deer in Robertson County don't care about anything. I've got a small backyard. I've sent you guys pictures. It's fenced in. I woke up the other morning. There's just two of them hanging out there in my backyard. They saw me, said, watch this. We're going to jump your fence. And then off they went.
Oh, yeah, they can flat foot a 6-foot fence with no problem.
And we got one last question.
Yes.
And this is actually a question I wasn't able to answer at my job. I'm hoping maybe you guys can, because I really didn't know what to tell this fellow except to use some kind of brush killer. He had a lawn, his front lawn, uses zoysia grass. Nothing wrong with the grass. The grass, he says, looks great, but he's got creeping Charlie all through his yard, and he wants to kill that, but he doesn't want to kill his grass.
Well, now this time of year, what you have these cold season weeds that come up this time of year, and if you have those that are infesting a warm season grass such as Bermuda grass or zoysia, those grasses are completely dormant. If you can use a non-selective herbicide such as a Roundup, a glyphosate-based product, and spray that over the top right now, that will kill those actively growing weeds without injuring the now dormant warm season grass. But you got to do it before there's any sign of green on that dormant grass. So
you got to go out and dig it out of the snow today, though. I mean, you got to find it. He has to know exactly where it is. So we
cover a whole lot of topics at Bates Nursery. Obviously, we get a lot of questions. Don't hesitate to go to our Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp webinar archive site, and you can just go to batesnursery.com, scroll to the bottom, or it's actually down the front page. You can see the main landing page, and then scroll to the bottom of that for the archives. And there is somewhere down here there is an entire article or a webinar that Adam Chapman did about deer-resistant plants. So if you want to get some more in-depth and detailed information about a whole list of things you might consider, Adam covers it in that webinar that he did. So check that out over on the Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp webinar archive site at batesnursery.com. So,
all right, 615-499-6690. Jump in here and join us on the At Home Show. It's your Saturday morning tradition, you know.
We've been at it for a little while now, Josh. You know, we have officially passed our mutual 23rd anniversary, and we really have been doing radio together for 25 years. We had a little break in there, I guess for bad behavior. I'm not sure what. We both was pretty sure, I don't know about you, that our radio career was past us. But it came back, and then now we've even made one more step. We're doing it visually now here on Facebook Live, and also
We should have been visual all this time, though.
Oh, well, just like the technology is the only problem. We do ask, if you're watching us out on Facebook, well, please share us out with your friends. We'd like to get the message out there.
Watch parties.
All
Put it on the TV.
Do a watch
hit the
party.
follow button.
Yeah,
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yep, and you can share us out on YouTube as well. So check that out. And I'll generally post it out on LinkedIn during the week. It's on Twitter. And you can go to the Bates Nursery website and go to the At Home Show link on there, and we're broadcasting live right there as well. So if you say, well, I don't do Facebook or other social media, you can still watch us right there. That makes it nice and easy. So check us out over at batesnursery.com.
That answered our final question. Someone said that they weren't on social media and wanted to know how to watch the show. So,
Yep. Here's what you do. You go to batesnursery.com and you just scroll down to the bottom, all the way to the bottom. And you'll see the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates link right there. You click on that. And I hope I have my audio turned down, but that's where it is. And you see me talking about me right now. So there you go.
I want to text them that because I just realized if they can't see the show.
Oh.
They're not
Oh, man.
So that's the way we do it here at the At Home Show.
Absolutely. All righty, folks. I tell you what, we are honored today to be joined by another old friend. David, I have actually known this gentleman longer than I have known you.
Well, and Phil has been a guest on our ship program before we were broadcast visually. He was
from the Fishbowl.
That's right.
At the Opryland Hotel.
It's been a minute, but always glad to have Phil Crawley come to see us. Phil, welcome into the At Home Show this morning.
See him pop right in the middle there.
Look how fast he is. I mean, he just jumped right in.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Now, Phil is territory manager. The titles change and things go around, but I've known Phil since about the early 90s, and in one way or another, we've been trading together at Crawley and other companies. And the Andersen line, the Andersen Windows and Doors, is who Phil works for. That's probably been one of the most constant lines that we've had available to us through all those years. And he's a good rep. I tell you, he knows his stuff. He's been around a while, and he's very helpful and brings some things to the dance for us here on the At Home Show.
And Phil,
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm going to jump right in here, Phil. I got to figure a lot of people have had time to contemplate just how cold those window spaces are in their home over the last week. I got to feel like that fact is not gone unnoticed by a great many people. I mean, under the best conditions, with the best windows, it's still going to be the spot that leaks heat out the worst. But Andersen has some products that can really improve the efficiency and keep the beauty of outdoors, where you can view it from the inside.
One of the things about being stuck inside, either from what we experienced last year or this weather, is a lot of folks standing looking out their windows. And if you don't have energy efficient windows on these cold days, you can't stand there and look out very long.
No, same thing holds true, Phil, in the summertime. I mean, again, if you're standing on a western face and Phil's got some window sash behind him there, single glazed, putty glazed old wood window sash, you're standing there on a western face on an August day. You're going to cook yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just as important in the summertime as it is in the winter.
So, David, I appreciate you mentioning that the replacement window business has been extremely strong over the last year. And fortunately, we have a lot of different options that folks can choose from.
Now, when you talk about replacement windows, I think it's a common if someone comes in to buy, say they talk to Josh, and probably the first thing they say when they're describing the size of their windows is they're a standard size.
Oh, they're all standard.
Yeah, right. So, and obviously the joke there is that there are no standard, quote, standard size windows. I mean, there are more likelihood, but windows come in all kinds of sizes, correct?
That's exactly right. And it's kind of funny, when Josh and I started in this business, there actually were standard sizes to windows. Now, there might have been 15 or 20 standard sizes, but nowadays you are exactly right. There is no standard size.
So are all windows pretty much made to order now, or do builders or other contractors try to build something that fits what is more likely to be available?
And this time,
are made to order. Sorry, Josh.
Well, that's Phil. I didn't mean to step on you there, but that has as much to do with the manufacturing processes that have been available. Again, I can remember helping a local wholesaler in Laverne unload train car loads of Andersen Windows. We got loaned out by the boss down there at the lumberyard in Smyrna, but that was the way things were done. Now they manufactured and ran on a production line, particularly in Bayport, Minnesota. Phil, the legend that they tell is that the Bayport line actually predated Henry Ford's as far as a manufacturing facility, and they would run.
Henry just helped them figure out how to. Henry just helped them figure out how to make that process a little more efficient.
Go ahead, Phil.
We pretty much started along about the same time with that type of manufacturing. And let me correct myself. I said there were no standard windows. We still offer standard size windows, but most windows, even standard size now, are made to order.
That's because, again, people don't warehouse things. Again, the point was there with the train car load is that back in the day, you could have Shelbyville Lumber, or Carlson Building Supply, or Fakes and Hooker in Lebanon, or Husky Lumber in Nashville. We could call our local supplier and order 15 3046 white narrow line windows.
That's easy for you to say.
Chances are they were going to have them in stock. They were going to have the screens. If you needed a casement window, you could probably get it as well. The choices have just changed so much, and the way that the processes are. Didn't have black as an option, Phil, in those days. We didn't have dark bronze as an option in those days. You didn't have. It was actually just. Actually, I think I go back to Terratone and white. I think Sandtone came in shortly after I started selling the product line. And if you needed it and they had it in stock, you could have it on the next truck, or if you wanted to send your truck, you could go get it. That process is just not the same, and that's across the industry pretty much anymore. Nobody keeps anything in stock.
Well, let me ask you, when you talk about all those variety of finishes, of what materials are those windows constructed from? Are these metal, or are they some composite material, or is it painted wood, or is it yes to all the above?
Yes, it used to be, we used to start talking about the size matrix was the standard sizes that we
I've always thought that the first matrix was the best one, by the way.
The first matrix, yeah. I like that. Well, they got a new one coming out as well, but I see myself asking the question now is, what color do you want on the outside? That's usually the very first question that I ask. And that is because inside the Andersen line, there are, 7 different series? Now, some series have multiple colors and custom color capabilities. Others have as many as 2. So you have to decide to choose which series is going to fit the customer's need the best way. And if you want a value window, the one that's being displayed right behind Phil's head there on the big screen is the 100 series. And I've forgotten, Phil, I think there's 6 standards or 7 standard colors in it.
6 standard in the 100 series.
Right. And you can get different colors on the inside, but primarily with the way that the sizing and then the way that the styling is going on right now, that is what we see as the trend currently, as those nice big pieces of glass with some divided mutton lights in them. That was the other thing. Those muttons, you can have them removable. You can have them between the glass. You can have them adhered to both sides of the glass. You can have them adhered to both sides of the glass with a spacer bar on the inside. You can have them adhered to one side of the glass with a removable grill in some of the series. So the choices are just so much broader now than they ever were in the past.
Now, windows like we're looking at here on the screen, are those available where there is one color that's outside and one color that's inside? They're not or are they the same color on both sides of the frame? Is that possible, or is that the way they're done? I don't know.
Yes.
You got to tell me, guys. So you can literally order something that matches the outside decor of your paint scheme, and then have a very different one on the inside.
Inside the different series, and we go from 100 to A, and there are several stops in between. It's levels of they're all good, great quality product, but Phil, would it be fair to say that they address different budgets in some of these things? Because if you want something that is custom colored on the outside with a pre-finish on the inside, it's most assuredly going to cost you some more money than something that's pulling off that standard size matrix.
There are different budgets that have to be allowed. A lot of it nowadays is also this contemporary style that is so popular now, where they want to maximize their glass and minimize the frame.
Right.
And that's also going to limit you in series, because some window products, to meet certain performance grades, you have to have a more structurally sound frame than with more wood in it. But to go back real quick to David's question, we across our product line very quickly, we have a composite product, we have a vinyl clad over wood, we have an aluminum clad over wood, we have a composite over wood. We even have a manufacturing facility over out west that's an all aluminum window. It doesn't meet our energy values over here on this side of the Mississippi River, but it's popular over there.
Now, of course, we live in and the industry that I work in is a visual industry, and the industry you guys are in is what makes that visual part possible. So you want to be able to enjoy the look of the windows, and you want to be able to enjoy the view of what's on the other side of it. So obviously, I've gone back to the main page, and by the way, that is AndersenWindows.com. It's ANDERSEN windows.com, and there you can see
he gets the cookie, doesn't he, Phil? ANDERSEN. Yeah, it's okay.
And there on your website there, it's just amazing, the number of products and all the applications, and it's very good when you're in a visual business to be able to depict well the kinds of things. And I've spent a few minutes kind of looking through pretty much anything for any application that anyone could want. Now, you've talked about all the aesthetic things. What about the energy saving abilities of the glass, and what are the different levels that people need to be thinking about in terms of? I think it's reasonable to expect that the more energy efficient a window unit is, the greater the cost is going to be. Is that a relatively accurate statement? Or not
that is an accurate statement, and the two performances that most folks look at now is what's called a U factor and a solar heat gain coefficient.
Yep. So tell us what a U factor. Tell us what the U factor is.
A good U factor by codes, I believe now in most areas, is 0.30, and
that means what?
That means that if you hit that 0.30 in particular in Middle Tennessee and the north central Energy Star zone, it gets a little check mark that says that it will qualify for the Energy Star compliance. The differences in some of the glasses, primarily in the new or replacement application, Phil, I think it would be safe to say that we really look at just four and the different levels of we have low E4 Smart Sun, you have low E4 Sun, which has a little bit of a tint. In most cases, the standard, I don't want to call it the base layer, but the standard low E4 from High Performance 4, and they keep changing the name just to keep us all on our toes. The standard base glass that is offered in all of the Andersen products is about as good for our market, in my opinion, as there is out there. And you could go up to some that have different kinds of cooling. And if David, and I know you love these kind of things, if you want to sit through a glass seminar and look at the different possibilities with low E coatings on surface 4s and surface 3s and surface 2s and different kinds of gases and the center of glass U factor versus the unit factor. You got about 15 minutes of most folks' attention, and it's going to just
then the glazed over effect happened. Is not talking about the glaze of the glass. It's on the eyeballs, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's one of those things that is important, but more and more, and it's been about 8 or 10 or 12 years, Phil, you're required to use a low E coating. It used to be a big, hairy deal back in the day. That day, David, we're
big hairy deal day.
We're going to upgrade to low E glass.
Okay, now, Phil, I've got a question about innovations. As far as is there anything out there on the horizon for? Obviously, Andersen Window Company is looking constantly to try to make a better, a more aesthetically pleasing, but also more energy efficient. That's got to be a lot of people in Texas who've been really reminded of whatever deficiencies their windows might have with the terrible weather we've had in the last week. But are there things that are on the horizon that maybe are innovations that Andersen has been working at that perhaps they don't actually have quite out on the market yet? Or can you talk about it?
Tell you. Yeah, he'd have to kill you, and he wouldn't have to kill everybody else around.
There are some things out there, David, that we've actually been working on for several years. We're in contact and work with different glass suppliers, manufacturers to get the different things. Triple pane, you hear about that some. Triple pane is as opposed to dual panes of glass and insulated glass. That's not new, but that's something that we're constantly trying to improve. And it's good for sound reduction. You sometimes get a little better energy efficiency, but for our market, for our area, as you were mentioned earlier, dual pane is quite sufficient, especially with how you depend on the low E coating, which is, as Josh said, required now by codes.
I watch a program from time to time that's where it's in Europe where they do these refurb of homes where it's new constructions, and one gentleman had a window made that had quadruple pane glasses in it. There's no telling what he spent for this one. I would say it was probably maybe a 3 by 4 foot window, but there's no telling.
Right? It was standard.
Yeah,
right?
Standard. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I would say it was a 1 by 1.3 meter window if it was standard in Great Britain. But so quadruple pane. I mean, what? I mean, you get to the point of where the diminishing returns start to kick in, where it can be done, but how much actual energy savings are you paying for that absolute premium for a product like that?
So many things change when you start adding glass panes on there. You're greatly increasing the weight of the product. So if it's an operating window, then you're going to have to do some things extra, and all of a sudden the cost of it isn't worth the investment on it. So what we're trying to do is just continue to work with our glass manufacturers to make as efficient a product as we can, as affordable as possible.
Hey, 615-499-6690. I want to invite everyone. If you want to ask Phil a question, don't hesitate to text one over to Michael, or you can message us, and we'll get that up there for you.
By the way, he's no Chevville boy, so I mean he's Middle Tennessee guy. So
we've got a question. Actually,
David, you were talking about some of these layers. One of those things that you will sometimes pick up in some of these seminars when you go to factory tours is that just because you can have it doesn't mean that you should have it.
Well, yeah, that applies to many things in life, Josh, does it not?
Well, let's just say
it's not limited to window units only.
You're in an area of the country that has low humidity, and you start doing these super insulated, and even more so than the dual panes that we see that are predominant in Middle Tennessee. how would you like to have condensation on the inside of your house?
Especially
because it's so
tight. Yeah.
I think there's still a blurb up there about understanding condensation on the Andersen website.
Well, it's bad when you have to have a home where you have to have both a humidifier and a dehumidifier, depending on what season it is that you have to run to change the inside air moisture.
Mm-hmm. And it just depends on what you look. But again, I think we'll see a trend that we're going to go back more to. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've probably sold more casement windows than I ever have in my life. I mean, in my appearance at the lumberyard.
Tyler, did you have a question that came in? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got it over here, as a matter of fact. Let me pull it up. I was just waiting, but it's actually, do you guys carry Kinsley's Ghost Vines?
Kinsley's Ghost Vines?
I don't know that we have them right now. Again, that's another thing. Go out to the website, batesnursery.com, and just search it on there, and it'll tell you. Was that the same question you had, Tyler, or was there another
I forwarded it to Michael. I was just
I got you.
An eager beaver.
Well, see, it got me all confused. But again, if you want to ask Phil or Josh one a question about the window units, which is what Phil does all the time and Josh does a fair amount of the time, because that's one of the aspects of the job he does over for Crawley Builder Supply. You can pick up your phone and either message us or leave a voicemail, 615-499-6690.
Now, David, what we haven't touched upon is while we've been talking windows, more and more the industry is moving toward big
996690.
Now, David, what we haven't touched.
That was on Tyler that time.
Yeah, okay. Everybody,
we had a technical glitch.
Everybody
there,
gets their time in the barrel. So.
Okay, but big doors, big honking, massive doors. That is something that is really, really, really popular, particularly when folks want to tie our.
But Andersen's a window company. They don't do doors, do they?
That's why they call it Andersen Windows and Doors.
Oh, okay. Well, now that clarifies that.
I think that's the new logo anyway, isn't it?
I do have something to contribute. I have an Andersen's front storm door, and it's the one that is, I think it's double paned, or it's very thick, and it has the screen that you can pull down inside the window. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yep. And there are probably more Andersen storm doors out in the middle in the country than just about any other brand anymore. I would say you're going to see them very predominant. There's a big orange box store that does a great job with those. I mean, it's fantastic the amount of that they sell, isn't it, Phil?
It is good. Now, Andersen Windows and Doors is probably our longest logo,
right?
Longest standing logo. And we do everything from storm doors, patio doors, entry doors, and then the big doors that you were talking about. And I think what you started to say, Josh, I'll steal your thunder. It's outdoor living inside, where you just want as much glass as possible. And then when you can, open up to 65 feet.
So these are like glass walls that you can push back and completely hide away in the wall space.
Dude.
Yeah.
They can be automated, and then you can let all of your fine products from Bates Nursery inside the house. Basically,
I think he needs to put them on, Phil. I think he needs to put them on all of the retail areas there at the nursery, so he can just open them up and have it be easy to go, and then he can protect them a whole lot better.
I've got a new building that's going to be going up. It has come down.
Oh my goodness. But if you're 65 feet, imagine that, folks, 65-foot opening. How tall can that one be? I believe it's, you can go up to 108 inches on some of the heights now, right? Or even taller.
Wait, did I miss something?
Based on the weight, 10 foot is not impossible, 12 foot.
Wait, did you say
tall? That's tall, folks.
Did he say 65-foot opening?
Wide.
Wide, yeah. So are you building a barn?
The big movement I see in a lot of the stuff I watch, people, this outdoor room where you have a glass wall that you could completely.
Okay, I get you. I mean,
you can push it open part of the way, or you can completely roll it back where that you just step straight outdoors. Now, I don't, or if you have like a screened in outer porch or other area, you know, it enables you to bring the outside in.
That's pretty cool. I just heard 65 foot and it made me go, what?
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of commercial applications, and I think you see if you'll see the type of doors that are one of the more popular ones are the accordion folding type doors as well, and you'll see those a lot in retail applications where that folks want to open up even just for a small period of time. There's quite a few of those. I think you've got didn't you do a project over in Green Hills that had some of those on the 3rd and 4th floor, Phil? And just trying to remember exactly what it was.
Yes. Yeah. Very popular for balconies.
Mm-hmm.
Even these little short balconies or not very depth balconies, they will put a folding door on there. Yes.
So pretty much, if you can imagine it, Andersen Windows and Doors can create it.
And I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you. That's a great way to put it.
I'm sure that there are people out there with a lot of imagination, so that gets tested, I'm sure, often.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I won't say that we can build everything that you can imagine or draw, but we can get pretty close.
Right. Well, everybody's ideas, I don't know that perhaps there are some original thoughts, but pretty much everybody's idea is an adaptation of something else they've seen elsewhere, so that they look at their situation and go, I like the way this looks. How can I make that work in my existing home? Or we're adding on this little change with another part of the house, that kind of thing. Something that they can change, something else that they've seen elsewhere.
Well,
one of the benefits of the website that you were on, David, is that we have a photo gallery on there. We have a virtual showroom on there. Folks can pick up a lot of ideas. We even have.
There's a big door. They're right there. For example, that's a multi-slide. And you could, if you really, 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 really wanted to, you wouldn't even have to look at those 4 panels to the left of that opening. They could have been pocketed into the wall. You see them right there, and there. It's just an absolutely wonderful way to open up your space. Now you got to be prepared for that too. The thing about those, you have to have a good level floor, and to get the absolute perfect operation, there are certain tolerances that are within it, but those are not exactly inexpensive, so you want them to operate like they would.
Well, you touched on it briefly a moment ago, Phil, with regard to the structural requirements that are necessary for these high efficiency units. When you start adding multiple panes of glass and the supporting hardware, the weight starts compounding quite a lot. So whatever that you do, if it's like you said, if it's a tilt out kind of a window, I think this one I was referring to that I saw the other day it was not a large window. I think it weighed, the whole unit was like 600 pounds. So they had to have some major kind of a assist mechanism just to be able to open and close this window. So
well, you need to have at least one for this door, the unit right there. You're going to have somebody that's a little taller than you are, ideally on the job site, David, because when you start to lean that door up into the opening, because they don't come assembled. You just don't put that on a truck. You got to put that together out there on the job site. Now, the other thing that we were talking about with the structural and the weight, I mentioned the floor, the header over that door. It needs to be structurally sound. We see these things stacked where you'll have one of these monsters on the basement level, then you go up to the main level and you'll have another one right on top of it. Let's just put some concrete and some brick and some other stuff on it.
So the integrity of the whole wall unit from bottom to top has to be really substantial.
There's no studs, dude.
Rebar and concrete is what you're talking about in best situations, right?
Wouldn't surprise to see engineered lumber and a header that would be 3 or 4 plies thick in that. It happens all the time.
I'm sorry.
So as with regard to how much of of current business are people that are doing replacement windows as opposed to new construction? Is that about 50-50, or how does that shake out?
50-50 is a good average. Yes, sir.
For the window company.
Which is really good because you having the amount of business you've got kind of spread out a little bit. It's not all tied to one thing or another. Kind of gives you the more comforting feeling. If people who are placing a window order starting off this next week, approximately what kind of lead time is a reasonable amount of time to expect? With a lot of people doing this, I'm sure you've got to be reasonable about what your expectations are as far as how long it will take to get those.
With business as strong as it's been, the supply and demand has been an issue. But fortunately, we've been around long enough. We've got a lot of long-standing contracts. So we're other than the mishaps in Texas where we have a factory, we're pretty close to a 4-week lead time on most of our doors and windows. If you get some of the customs, you're going to get out to about 6 weeks. But so far with us, it's basically 4 to 6 weeks rule of thumb.
And Phil, that's admirable in these days where we're hearing 120 days, 180 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
In some cases, and it's 10 to 12 is the go-to answer. So, but they have performed very well. There was a lot of things that go into these things, because it's not just them producing the window, is they have to get supplies from outside vendors. And that is where most of I'm hearing is the industry is having problems. But they're pretty self-contained, and they do a great job. Now let's touch on the replacement window business. Now, David, again, you and I've had this discussion through the years.
Sure.
What is a replacement window?
Okay. So you've got a couple of different options. And very quickly, one thing that we didn't mention, glass is extremely important, but also your framing, and maybe you're just tired of painting the outside of your windows. And so that's another good reason to replace your windows. But if you have an existing frame that's in good shape, then a replacement window will fit inside that opening. There's less labor with that. There's less disruption to the house itself. If you have a framing issue, then you're going to have to pull the complete window frame out, and basically it looks like new construction again. The framing is exposed. You're getting involved with inside casing or trim, and a lot of times even an exterior trim or casing has to be applied. So there's a little more labor with a full frame replacement as opposed to what we call an insert or a pocket window.
So you're saying that's just the internal workings of the window or the paint, the panels themselves are being taken out, and the rest of it is staying in. Is that what I understand? Yeah,
that's the frame stays, and that is what is generally the generic view of what a replacement window will be, whether it be a sash pack, whether it be a hollow vinyl insert unit, sash pack. Now, let's touch on this.
I feel like it's what Josh calls his man bag.
Lots and lots and lots of Andersen's narrow line series windows sold in Middle Tennessee. Okay, the one thing that was not the most user friendly about that product is that it did not tilt. Okay.
So you couldn't clean it from the inside, is what you're saying, essentially.
No, it did not. You had to go through a contortionist and a yoga thing to get to where you clean the top and the bottom from the inside. It was always easier to do it from the outside anyway. But they now have an option. Let's just say you want to take your colonial house that is gorgeous, but you're tired of it being white, or you're tired of it being terratone, and you want to get something in a different color. You've got a few options with their tilt wash conversion kit that will take that Andersen product and make it into a tilt situation.
That sounds almost like a religious experience.
It is proprietary, though, Phil. I mean, is that correct? You cannot use the conversion kits in any other application other than a narrow line conversion.
That particular series you're talking about, that is correct. It has to that sash pack replacement has to fit into a narrow line window. We do have other series where we can do.
Oh, sure.
Do
Michael,
that too.
did you have a question or yours?
Well, we've got a text message, and this is from Brian and Shannon. They said, if you're looking to replace your windows or new Constitution, my advice is to save up and go with Andersen, because you will not, they had not capitalized, be disappointed. They stand behind their product. Brian and Shannon, happy Andersen customers.
Well, there you go. So
Yep.
that's what we like to hear in business. Is like to hear people have good experiences and be willing to talk about that. So
the insert, again, we were back to talking about inserts, but the insert product is what is predominantly known in Middle Tennessee. Phil used a bad word. They sell metal windows in other parts of the country. And there were probably more metal windows sold in Middle Tennessee than you can count on just about everybody's fingers in Middle Tennessee. The
downside
series,
to an all metal window is that it tends to conduct whatever the temperature on the other side is pretty badly, does it not? Either hot or cold, right?
Right. They're also installed in a lot of cases in Middle Tennessee. They were installed in vinyl siding houses. The 100 series that Phil offers, and through the Andersen Company, is a perfect switch out for that. But it would be either in a full frame, which I prefer. We've had this discussion. Phil and I kind of go back and forth about inserts once in a while, but I prefer a full frame tear out to the insert product. And in a vinyl siding house where you're going to pull that old frame out, that old metal frame, and put a new one in, it gives you the opportunity to weather seal it much better than they ever were.
Right.
And change your colors, change your grid patterns, and everything else. You can get rid of the marble sills that are on the inside of the house that you have to wipe off every time you walk past them. It's a great application for that. And that's just the beginning side, because again, the other dimensionalized products are available too.
When you try to describe this just verbally, it's kind of difficult. So one of the things that I could recommend folks do, if after they have finished live streaming all of the at-home shows that are on YouTube, you can go to Andersen Windows, and we have videos of doors and windows being replaced, installed. Josh hit on a very important thing about the frame, the necessary framing. It's just a handy place, just in your comfort of your own home, to watch and see what we're talking about.
Absolutely. You can buy you can see parts, how to change something out. It will show you an installation instructions. And
all manner of questions are answered there. So they're really quite a comprehensive.
All seeing at AndersenWindows.com. Go see it.
Hey, Phil, we want to thank you for coming on today and sharing about what you make your livelihood at, and also how you help folks to improve the quality of their life. And that's how we get to see the outside, is through windows. And if you're not happy with them, you really should give Andersen Windows a strong thought, and you can talk to Josh Cary directly about that. He'll talk to you.
So Eddie Crosland, call Eddie.
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
I appreciate very much you having me on. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Appreciate it.
Hey,
thank you, Phil.
We thank you, Phil, and it's one of the things that I think we take for granted oftentimes, is the amount of time you spent looking out a window. And the weather from the past week, I think, has brought that home to a great many, is that that there's a lot of my heat is going right out through that spot and all those spots around. But hey, I'm going to take just a minute, talk about Earth Mix Garden products. Believe it or not, this past week has probably gotten everyone really inspired to get out there and dig in the dirt. So success begins at the ground level when you're talking Earth Mix Garden products, and it's a 100% sustainably produced organic product right here in Nashville, Tennessee, that not only meets that criteria, it also is the most vibrant and vital soil you can get Matter of fact, you won't have to put any additional fertilizers in there in any of the Earth Mix products for at least a month, perhaps as much as 6 weeks, depending on what you're growing in it. Earth Mix Garden products are ready-to-use products, or there are amendments to improve the soil you currently have. You're going to want to find them, but they're only available at independent garden centers. Go to earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab on the top right there. And once you're on that, you click on that and you'll see the map comes up with all the locations around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky. We're even up in Indiana and Ohio. Check out all of those, and you can click on those. It'll tell you all about the garden center that you're looking at right there. So check that out over at earthmix.net. Remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden products. And thanks for taking just a moment and us checking that out. Talking about that, of course, we're here broadcasting live from the green room today at Bates Nursery. We are closed today at Bates Nursery. We're trying to get the rest of this ice out of the way. We're still very much a frozen spot, but today the conditions are going to improve. Tomorrow we do get back into the 50s, which is going to give us all
18.
I don't know when I've been more ready for cold weather to get on by than I have been this week.
I'm so looking forward to seeing my dogwoods bloom finally. We've got the pink and the white and everything else. I'm not a fan of winter, and I know a lot of people love the fall weather, but spring is my favorite time of year. Love it.
Winter was okay up until
this week.
About this time last week. And it was, it's been a very much a trying event. We've been fortunate here in Middle Tennessee that we didn't have the kinds of issues that our friends down in Texas had to deal with this past week. And certainly our thoughts are with them as they continue to deal with that mess and get dug out of it. So I know that they're looking forward to having a life that more resembles something that you could confuse with being normal.
They're talking 70s in Middle and Odessa is what I heard. We're seeing 50s this week. They're gonna thaw out real quick.
I think they're gonna hear a jubilant cheer come up out of Texas this week.
That market is an unusual market, but they'll for the building materials business, but it's huge. David, I want to give a shout out to the folks over at Gill's Hardware here in Smyrna. The awning on their building at Gillsville, awning in the bakery in that whole area, it took some damage with the ice too. Pulled some brick down off a part of the building.
Wow.
So nobody was hurt, but I think they're obviously closed today. I think they're going to clean up a little bit and get everything going. But everybody out there in Smyrna knows Jenny and her crew over at Gill's Ace Hardware. It's a tradition here in Smyrna, and give them a shout out and go see them, buy something. I know they'd appreciate it as well.
Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, the one plus of this weather, by the way, I got to take Sam sledding for the very first time.
Now, how much did he enjoy that?
Oh, he loved it great. And then he wanted to go down with me, and then he'd go down with his mom and back and forth. And I said, Sam, watch this. And I jumped on my belly on the sled and went all the way, because our driveway is at like a hill.
Right.
Went down real fast, had a lot of fun. After that, no more sledding with mom and dad. He grabs it. He says, I go by myself. And he gets on his belly, and he flies down this hill. He's 2.5 years old. Gets out, drags it back to the top himself. You want some help? No, I got it. I do it by myself.
Well, get him a lift ticket. Put a ski lift in there. Pull it back up to the top.
Yeah, it's already his mom will sit there, and you'll see her. She's got her arms crossed, and occasionally it's just covering her mouth. He has no fear.
Yeah,
no fear.
Well, he's all boy. That's just the way that is.
Oh, yeah.
As my dear departed brother-in-law would say, don't let fear and common sense get in the way. So
I think that's the motto for most men. Most men, that's you.
Okay, 615-499-6690. What's the good thing about that number is not only works when we're on the air. If you're watching this in a delayed format and you've got a question that comes to mind, make sure you put that out there. Of course, Josh works in the building trades throughout the week, so if it's something about Andersen replacement windows or new construction, Josh certainly can field all those. Don't hesitate to put that out there, and everything else.
Seriously, folks, they have performed better through some of this crisis. I won't call it better. Everybody's doing the very best they can, but what Phil stated about the
4 to 6 4 to 6 weeks, that's amazing. I thought it would be.
In all honesty, that didn't really change for them. That day, depending upon what it was you were ordering, it was about the normal lead time. So I mean, they've really stepped up and done real well with that. Nice thing about that Andersen site, you can also buy parts there. You can report warranty issues at that place, and they are the folks said
he has no fear.
Yeah,
no fear. There you go again, Tyler.
Tyler's having fun with the replay button this morning.
Trying to reply to comments.
It's a great shot. Go out there and check out that website. And that is truly the best place to see what is new and exciting from the Andersen Windows.
Well, when you deal with great folks like Andersen, they've been around for many, many years. And that gives you the sense of comfort that there's going to be support behind the product. Should there ever be an issue somewhere down the line?
They have green qualities. They were well ahead of the curve as far as eco-friendly and the energy savings. They were the ones that started pushing it.
Josh,
it's really come to be true. What's that?
That's
David?
it. Our hour's done.
Is it really?
Yes, just like that.
I even gave you just a little bit extra time, Josh. I usually start the music like a minute before.
Okay.
And you got a bonus minute.
I don't have any music in my ears, so I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. Well, here we are at the end of it. So
okay.
Hey, thanks to Phil Crawley for coming in today. Josh.
Okay. Yes, thank you for Phil for being here. And folks, tune in next Saturday morning for another hour of the At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates. It is a tradition.
Are you going to come in next week?
Be in there. I might be able to get out at the end of the driveway here at Proving Grounds. So we'll see you next Saturday morning for the At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates.